I wish to exercise my right of reply and take the opportunity to respond to a simplistic and personalized negative campaign by Standard Newspaper's managing editor for quality and production, Bwana Okech Kendo, against me as the government spokesperson of the government of Kenya. This is in relation to a commentary on today's Standard newspaper on page 15 entitled Spokesman Caught Spinning Again. Mr. Oketch Kendo appears to be on a campaign to belittle my office and self by writing an opinion piece based on misconstrued information with an aim which, in my opinion, smacks of Hitler's style propaganda campaign to demonize someone so as to destroy their credibility in the eyes of the public. It's something that we've seen in the past in the world. None of the examples Mr. Oketch Kendo has written about are real, but most are biased and mostly drawn from twisted reportage, some of which we have already complained about and even lodged letters with his management. Mr. Oketch Kendo should note that we do record all my press briefings and publish all my statements on our internet page, and that he should refer to these records for accuracy. We also make available all our recordings to provinces and to district headquarters so that wananchi can actually see what we say. So whatever I say here is actually on record, and that is what people should look at and not just base it on wrong reportage in the same papers they are working on. Our country has undergone a lot of pain as a result of hatred against people rising against each other and about hatred against each other. Media have been blamed by the Waki Commission for perpetuating this kind of hatred and negative attacks and biased coverage. The kind of continued attacks, biased opinions and negativity such as the one by Mr. Oketch Kendo are, in my opinion, part of what drove Kenyans to rise up against each other and to kill each other. As a person who believes in peace and dialogue, I invite Mr. Oketch Kendo to visit me for a cup of tea so that I could open his eyes on how the government functions and how I work, so that he can write from a perspective of knowledge and not ignorance. Tutakunywa chai, ama kama hakuna chai tutakunywa supu pamoja. I do believe and know that as a fact that 98% of journalists and editors in Kenya are entirely professional, ethical and straightforward. And I look at most of you here who I have a great deal of respect for. However, there is a small percentage, 1 or 2% of journalists who operate on agendas, some of which I've always believed are encouraged by corrupt payments. Let us all in this country not blame journalists or media when it is only a few people who tarnish their names. One of the things that I have taken note doing is this blanket attack on just media. I think we also need to be specific, and that's why I'm always very specific. If a mistake has been done somewhere, talk about that mistake in that newspaper. I have seen a tendency by politicians just blanket blaming the media, that journalists are like this, and I do believe, having worked in the media room and knowing a lot of editors, it's only 1 or 2% and actually a few errors here and there, but it is not a blanket blaming of all media. I do acknowledge their wonderful intervention by media owners to clean up their houses and their unwavering championing of freedom of expression, because we all need to work together in the spirit of bringing peace and harmony to our country so as to initiate development. Finally, I do challenge Mr. Oketch Kendo or any of his friends who have been spewing propaganda against me and my office to prove real areas where I have lied to the public and where, if an error was committed, I did not correct it. If they prove these using facts, I will resign from my position immediately. In the same token, if he is unable to prove his arguments, then he should also resign from his position or be fired for misleading the public and engaging in simplistic propaganda. I humbly request everybody in this country, whether citizen or foreigner, business people or the employed, government officials or diplomats, students or workers, to join me in urging Mr. Oketch Kendo to embrace a positive spirit of developing our poor country and to desist from negativity that has achieved nothing in this country but bloodshed. Let us all support freedom of expression. Thank you. Take one.